As we get into the hour and welcoming you, Peter, to this conversation, City has a proverb from Niger.
I do. A piece of wood that has been burnt easily catches fire.
Easily
catches fire. A piece of wood that has been burnt easily catches fire.
I'm not sure because nowadays you bring us quite very hard ones to talk about. That would be a definition of a charcoal, if I'm not mistaken.
Of charcoal?
Yes. Because that would be that piece of wood that catches fire easily. So I don't know exactly what to make out of that one. But as we go along, I'll give you a concrete answer. I don't just want to go ahead of myself.
But for now, it's charcoal?
Yes, it's charcoal.
And charcoal is good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Things are burning.
Especially now it's the cold season. Keeps you warm.
Keep things burning to be warm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a westerly direction, conversations are happening about devolution, isn't it?
Yes.
Everybody has, at least county stakeholders are all in Eldoret this week.
Yes.
Having conversations, talking about CIDPs for counties, planning and mapping the next 5 years, right?
Yes.
There are very important conversations that are going on.
Yes.
Interested parties and stakeholders are saying, look, folks, this is what we need to do. All of this contributing to the development agenda of the country at the devolved level, bringing it together to a national level. This is what needs to be done. However, some of those things that sneak in sometimes, accountability comes up, corruption comes up. You can make a plan, but if your accountability index and your corruption, if your accountability index is low and your corruption index is high, then we have a problem. Talk to us about some of the issues, obviously, that you have had when it comes to ensuring that accountability at the county level is high and that corruption is low, if not to zero.
I think that is one of the major challenges that has engulfed the counties in the last 10 years. If you look at perusal of pending bills that have not been paid by counties, every governor that comes in forms an inquiry committee to go and check at the pending bills that were left by the previous governor. You ought to be shocked that almost 50% of the claims that are being made for counties to pay, some of them are not genuine. I was partly involved in when the new administration came to Kiambu. I was in a place that I was able to see quite a number of few pending bills. You know, pending bills, people will bring their LPOs. They were given LPOs. They will bring documents showing that they did this work or they did that work. One of the person claiming to be paid in Kiambu, he had claimed to have done street rights in a place in LPO that got me interested because happens to be at the backyard of my village. So I wanted to go and ensure whether indeed there is street rights. And from the day Jesus was crucified to date, there has never been a street light done in that particular place. But you'll be surprised. There's someone who has a pending bill claiming to have done that work. And majorly this is the issue with accountabilities of those we have entrusted with powers in the county. They have seen an opportunity to create what you call fictitious pending bills. And you will find that, like for instance, in Kiambu, you have slightly over 5 billion owed to contractors and suppliers. But when you peruse some of these things, because if you have done streetlights are not like service that they will disappear.
If you've done a street
lighting project, it ought, maybe it's not working, but it should be visible, it should be there. If you claim to have opened a certain road and did a gravel, as much as it will have dilapidated, there will be signs that indeed somebody had worked on this road. If you supplied a machine, an MRI machine or a microscope or whatever in a hospital, even if it is not functioning, we should find it somewhere within the hospital. And therefore, I find that most of these guys do not want to be accountable, because why would you select a committee that is going to peruse spending bills? As long as city comes with a back pass of 2 million shillings, you can always be paid for a fictitious spending bills. Most governors nowadays, how many times have you seen governors going out to the field? Most of them are enclosed in their offices, trying to negotiate for kickbacks for those whom they found with pending bills in the county. And that's the most unfortunate thing.
Mushendu.
Yeah.
You make it seem like people are spending most of the days sitting, waiting for people to come and see them so that we can say, okay, this bill actually will be paid to you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. If you see most of the governors, and I say this with tremendous respect to COG and the devolution, most governors that are being seen out there in public are purely doing PR stunts. Let me ask you, in a county like Kiambu, where I come from, where there is a population of 2.7 million, as a governor, would you be concerned about delivering and giving 5 chicks to families in Kiambu rather than checking the health services that is deteriorating every day in Kiambu? You have 2.7 million people who want proper health services. Is it light for you to be going out there to do PR, going to give eggs to nursery schools, to give chicks? You find a governor in a place like Nyanza region, where there is a lot of minerals and there is a lot of business that can be done, is so much concerned with projects that are supposed to be a PR kind of a thing, rather than deal with the health service. Let me tell you, as the citizens of any county, 70% of any citizenry of any county will only encounter the county government services in a health center or in a hospital, because how many people have cars that they have to do parking in a county?
Minimal.
Very minimal. How many people have business in a county that they have to engage the licensing office? Minimal. How many people have companies that they would engage counties in terms of doing roads? Very few. If you come to my village, maybe there's 1 or 2 contractors, that's it. But city here, you can go to visit. You may not, it could be you go to Nairobi hospital or whatever, but one way or the other you will go visit your mom, your aunt, your cousin or whatever. You will still one way or the other find yourself in a health center in a county. Therefore, as a governor, you need to look at what is at the center stage, at the interest of your people. Most of it is healthcare, road network and water. Those are the basic things. But you see, because governors have refused to be accountable, every governor that comes, and I'll tell you, this is a sad thing. You talk about white elephant projects that were being done by national government previously. Let me tell you, come to counties. Go to just randomly pick a county of your choice. Governor comes and he decides he's not going to finish the project that was started by the previous governor. I want to have my own identity. I want to do my own thing. You'll find a project that has been done. It has been abandoned because it was being done by a certain person. And that is the sad thing about counties. It is more about personalities rather than doing what is. Because if the previous governor came and started a hospital in my village, he did not start that hospital because it will benefit him in person. He started that hospital because it will benefit the people of Ndeya, where I come from.
Yes.
So it is the responsibility of the other governor who comes in to prioritize and finish that project. Today, one of the reasons why I believe that we need to come up with a way of ensuring that governors and county government are accountable to everything that is being done in the county, we need to establish a way that whether it is a law we will put, I don't know, that the governor cannot come and start new projects when we have pending projects that have not been completed. Because
what did we see yesterday? That at least the report that was then made public is that we're looking at almost 60 billion shillings installed projects. That's a computation around the country.
Yes.
We have some counties with as high as 4 billion shillings in stalled projects, uncompleted, and still we're looking at contracts moving forward for work need to be done. Do you think that governors, county executives ought to sign performance contracts just as the cabinet secretaries have done?
You'll be surprised this has been the practice. The CECs always sign performance contracts in counties. It is not nothing. It is not something new. But I'll tell you what is the difference between counties and national government. If you read the County Government Act of 2012, the one that was established to operationalize the new constitution and formation of the county governments, it depicts the governor as the CEO of the county, Chief Executive Officer. So when CECs sign performance contract, and then on the other side, governors do not give them an opportunity to do what they do. You see, the reason we are seated here, three guys in Spice FM, and you or him does not have written questionnaires from your bosses, it is because they believe in your capacity to be able to articulate a very good debate without being read. And unfortunately, in the counties, you have CEC sitting as rem ducks. They have no say. I mean, I'll give you an example, and you forgive me if I keep coming back to my county, because that is where I come from and I know. A minister of a CEC of the county government cannot even sign off something that is over 200,000 without consulting the office of the governor. Now, in Kiambu, we do procurement on a daily basis on an average of 80 to 100 million on a daily basis procurement. If you tell me that every procurement that is done has to go through the governor, are you not telling me that you will stagnate that county and almost bring it to a standstill? And it beats the question. When you appointed a CEC for trade, you provided his qualification in the county assembly, and you showed the county assembly that the man I am appointing to be in charge of trade has capacity and ability to deliver. Then it is your honors as the governor to allow that person, give somebody a responsibility at point A, wait for him at point B with results. But you find that most governors, I'll tell you, the procurement directors are more powerful than the CEs, the chief officers finance, because the entire 80% of corruption in county governments is domiciled at procurement. And therefore, you will find most governors have provided an extra office in their headquarters for directors of procurement, because they want to be in charge and control procurement. But when things fall apart, the person who receives the blame is either the chief officer finance or the CEC finance. But in actual sense, you have a CEC and a chief officer who are rem ducks with zero powers to be able to do things. And that is the problem we have, that even if you have CEC sign a performance contract, how will he execute his mandate if he has not been given that leeway by the governor to be able to do that? That is the biggest challenge that we have. We have institutionalized small gods in the counties, and unfortunately, that is the truth.
So are you saying that then, Mushendu, that governors as agents, essentially, they are CEOs of counties, but they're agents of devolution? They are. But you know. But are they not? You're saying they are not seeing that through.
Yes, exactly. You see, the people who came up with the concept of devolution, they were more interested in devolving services to the people, not devolving power. It is devolving services to the people. If you look at the County Government Act of 2012, it provides a position of a village administrator. It is the position that is provided by law. The reason the implementers and the people who drafted that act were to make sure that even the smallest person in the smallest of village is able to get services for the people. Now, this is the problem. We in schedule, is it fifth schedule, we devolved the functions to counties, but instead of the governor doing the same and trickling down the same functions to the ward level and to the village level, they concentrated power in the county headquarters. Today, there is no village, or like in Kiambu and so many other counties, they have never appointed village administrators. But of course, that is subject of discussion to availability of money to employ those people. But at least every ward has a ward administrator. You will find that you have a ward administrator who is he's like a chief who is representing the office of the president in the village. The ward administrator is supposed to represent the county government administrative wing in that village, and he is in charge of any development that is brought by the county. His work is to work hand in hand with the elected MCAs to ensure development goes. But you will find most counties, these individuals are being paid to stay idle in the village because they are not being engaged. It's true. I was in 2 counties in the coast. The village, the ward administrator reports to work, and he will spend time playing some pools and playing some games with people because the governor has not seen it right to give him responsibilities. This is the problem we have. Governors have refused to devolve power as it has been devolved to them from national government, because if you have a ward administrator in a ward, he is supposed to be the man responsible for development in that area. But the moment you want to control everything, let me tell you, if you look at the controller of budget, how is money supposed to go to counties? Money is supposed to leave the controller of budget.
Yep.
And it's supposed to go to what you call the county consolidated account, main account.
Yes.
Where you have the chief officer finance, the person in charge of integrated financial management system of that county, the director of finance. These are the people in charge of that particular account. Now, once that money is received at the county treasury, it is supposed to be transferred to various departments in accordance with their allocation and how much they are supposed to be given every month to ensure their operations are gone. But I will give you an assignment to look. There is no single county in this republic that disperses money to departments.
Why?
If you are a chief officer for agriculture, you will have to do requisition directly to the chief officer finance. He does not give you the money. You know, one of the responsibility of you being a chief officer of a department, the responsibility number 1, you are the chief accounting officer. Of that department. These chief accounting officers of those departments in counties are never given money in their account. They have to line up at the office of their fellow chief officer finance to beg for money. Why do governors do that? Because they want to consolidate and control how money is spent in the counties. And that is the most unfortunate truth. Do you know why we are ending up with the pending bills? The chief officer loads, gives contracts to people. They go, they do. They bring their documentation right, but he has no money or authority to incur expenditure, because what is there to incur as long as money remains at the consolidated account? So he will go to do requisition to the chief officer finance. The chief officer finance will have committed money in another department as directed by the governor. So pending bills starting piling up and piling up. But imagine you have a 17 billion budget for the county. The Department of Agriculture has been budgeted 1.2 billion to be spending, say, like 150 million every month. What if counties were to do that transparency transfer, that when they receive their exchequer from the national government and they receive the authority to spend own source revenue, they subdivide money and give it to the relevant department? Why are health department deteriorating in counties? As a hospital, I'll give you an outlet. A hospital like Thika Level 5, that is in Kiambu, it has a capacity of generating 400 million shillings, 500 million shillings in revenue in 1 year.
Yes.
After having spent and everything. That money goes directly to the consolidated account of the county as it is required by the controller of budget. But it is the responsibility of the governor to now, once he receives that money back, to channel it back to the hospital it came from. But you will find a hospital like Thika generates 300, 400 million. it is taken to the consolidated account. The controller of budget gives authorization for money to go back to be spent by counties. Instead of being channeled to a hospital, it will find a pending bill of a road that was constructed, and the governor or the chief officer or whoever has a kickback promise of 5 million. So they will divert that money from going to the hospital, and they will put it
Somewhere else.
That is the problem that we are having in the counties in terms of accountability.
CIDPs are top of the agenda right now, but you seem to think that the annual development plans should actually take over in terms of what should actually be done.
Yes.
Why is that?
CIDP are more of a vision. It's like Vision 2030 that we inaugurated a while back. How much have we done toward to Vision 2030? You can only be able to achieve Vision 2030 as you now narrow down to practicability for every session. I'll give you an example. To a pastor, the Bible is the most sacred book that reads his trade and what he does. As a member of county assembly, the annual development plan ought to be your Bible. Why? Annual development plan are the one that contains the exact projects that are being done in your ward. And if you stick and you ensure the governor sticks to that, we will eliminate the tokenism kind of politics where you need to go and beg the governor or you need to go and look good before the governor so that a project is done in your place. I mean, if we were to stick to CIDPs, we will not even need the award fund they keep talking about. Because when you're preparing the annual development plan, it involves public participation on understanding the needs of a certain wards. This is the projects we want. Then after people give their priority, we proceed to a level of prioritizing them on what is more important than the other for these particular people. And eventually, they will end up in the annual development plans that will be passed in the assembly, and they will be put in the budget. It will actually form part of the budget that is going to be implemented. And therefore, it means if MCAs can stick to annual development plans, you don't need to go and beg the governor for a project to be done in your ward. But this is the most sad thing. And I say this with as a worried man that quite a number of county assembly members have given a bad name to the office of the MCA. Because is it not sad if a governor calls an MCA and gives him a bribe of 5,000, 20,000 to go and vote against a good law, to go and vote against something that ought to bring a development? This is because let's not just do what we have been doing for the last nine years. Every year we have a devolution conference.
Yes.
We always measure on what has been good. But what we need to ask ourselves, whatever they say has been good against what they have been allocated and what they have achieved, can we actually in real sense and in actual sense say that we have succeeded in terms of operationalizing devolution?
You seem to say that what has happened is that corruption and non-accountability is what has actually been devolved.
This is it. This is the truth. Because let me tell you, if you have devolved health, which we devolved 10 years ago, from level 1, which is the public health workers, to level 5. All those are functions that have been devolved to the counties. It is the responsibility of the counties to be able to ensure that hospitals are working very well. But do you have any single county where you have had a successful story about health? The only county that attempted to have a successful story on health was Kiambu during the Honorable Kabogo's first term. He actually put a very serious structure on health. In fact, it was part of features even made by this particular media house.
Makueni County here,
you see, Makueni County was a successful of one hospital called Makueni Level 5. You have never seen any single other hospital. But if you came to Kiambu, it's true, the facts are facts, they're very stubborn. If you come to Kiambu, the Honorable Kabogo had been able to operationalize Thika Level 5. He found Thika Level 5 and put ICUs, put theaters, about I think 2 of them, put a reproductive health unit that had over 200 beds, did a MRI machine and all that. He did not just stop there. He came to a hospital called Kiambu. It was a level 4 then. Elevated it to level 5 with theaters, with maternity, with every very good outpatient. Gatondo, the same thing. Actually spent quite a lot of money. One of the successful stories is Gatondo. In Gatondo, if you went there in 2015, 2016, they had been able to earmark the entire sub-county that they knew anybody with non-communicable disease in the entire ward.
Yes.
Anybody with hypertension, anybody with diabetes and everything. So we had started to put structures in place to operationalize things like health, things like road, things like ECD. But the question is, have you seen anything you can positively, with a lot of confidence and without fear of contradiction, say that this devolution has got it 100%?
Unfortunately, or I don't know, fortunately for your argument or unfortunately for the real situation on the ground, then we start to see stories now pop out of the woodwork. The most recent, with what we are seeing, allegations of corruption again coming out of Meru County with the governor. I don't want to imagine if this actually is the case, and then we're going back into have to, go before the Senate again and saying, look at what is happening here. If this happens and it's then in broad daylight, are we then able to make inference and jump and say, then if this is what you can see, is it possible that this is the picture then across board? Allegations coming out of Siaya County just a few months ago, what we see bring before the Senate now in Meru, what could be lurking in the shadows in other counties?
Yes.
Do you know one of the chief complaints you have? Okay, let's talk about the optics. If you look at the frequency with which health workers, I'm talking about health workers in general, attempt, threaten, and wish to go on strike, the pay is, yes, one of the problems, but the bigger problem which they keep saying is they can't work. And the reason why they can't work, they don't have commodities. The equipment that they're supposed to work with are not functioning. Meaning, you go to work,
yes,
they are patients, but you are not able to do what you're trained to do simply because whoever is supposed to ensure that those things that you require for your work are there,
yes,
the things are not there. Now, unless we're going to say that these health workers are facetious, they strike at the slightest possible.
It rains, let's strike. The sun shines, let's strike.
But
it's cold, let's strike.
But when you look at every time they're striking, you're talking about 3 months, and you're thinking 3 months. People haven't been paid. 3.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yes, so you have to ask. And then the problem that they're talking about with regards to commodities, with regards to equipment, it's the same. And those ones are even longer than 3 months. You can't do what you're supposed to do because whoever is supposed to have enabled you to do it hasn't done it. Now, it can't be that all these complaints we keep hearing are just, if I may say so, hot air. The complaints must emanate from someplace.
I'll tell you, one of the major issues, if you looked at, was it, who was the last Council of Governor chair before Igoro? Was it Wambora? Cannot be Wambora.
It wasn't Wambora.
Remember.
It was, we will remember.
If you remember them on the steps of the Council of Governors headquarters here in Westlands, they kept complaining that there was a drain disbursement of exchequer from the national government.
Yes.
That is the reason why they have not been able to do. At that 30th of June, in the year 2023, the government of the Honorable William Ruto did not owe any county a single cent for the financial year 2022-2023. For the first time since we started devolution 10 years ago, by 15th of July, every county had their allocation for July dispersed.
So they could not complain.
They could not complain. I've told you right now, some county assemblies like mine, MCAs have not been paid. Employees who are permanent and pensionable are yet to receive their money. Well, when it comes to Casio, the issue of salary getting rate is always gonna be there because it is manual payment and what have you. Some other place where governor have found a way to steal money because of the manual register. You will find that in the Casio register, you will always have over 1,000 people who do not exist anywhere in the world, but they get paid.
Peter.
It's look at the controller of the Auditor General's report for the financial year 22.
Indeed, she did mention.
Look at it. No single county, all the 47 counties had an issue with what he called ghost workers.
Yes.
Governors,
workforce.
Governors have perfected the art of every time they join that seat, they will say that there has been an exaggerated workforce in the county. We need to reduce wage bill. So in a way, he gets rid of like 2,000
names.
people, 2,000 names, and slowly but sure continues replacing them one by one. And he will wake up in the morning, come to Spice and say, I found a bloated wage bill. But he continues to add people. That is the practical happenings in every single county. Today, there is a bit of success with devolution, a bit of it. But we cannot every year do devolution conferences and measure on the small things that have happened and not talk about the corruption that has engulfed our counties, and it is killing our counties. Is it fair that we spend 50 million shillings to operationalize a 15 million project? Does it make sense?
No, Peter, it doesn't make sense. But actually, what you're saying with regards to what you have informed us was the Honorable Kabogo's success story. It stands to reason. The things you say, one can see. If you doubt, you can go and visit and you can go and see it for yourself.
Yes.
There are a few governors who, for instance, in this term, have attempted to deal with this thing we keep talking about, pending bills.
Yes.
And I like quoting Mombasa.
Yes.
Because you do not hear complaints. It means he has a plan and people are getting paid.
Yes.
Now, if one county can do it, it means the others can do it.
They can do it.
Yes.
Even don't go Mombasa, go to Murang'a. Here. Just exit Nairobi, get into Murang'a. Irungu Kangata, he's attempting to do it. You have not, in this dispensation, you have not had a single complaint from Murang'a County. No. Irungu came to the president and told him, I want to see whether universal health care can work. So I want to start a program called Kangata Care that is doing very well. I have a friend who has now benefited with their mom being taken to India and Kangata Care paying 500,000 shillings for part of, they cannot actually cover everything, but being given a head start of 500,000 shillings
is a lot of money.
Is a lot of money coming from a county government.
Yeah.
So Irungu Kangata has shown that if we put a little bit of effort and we become better organized, we can actually perfect the art of Kangata Care anywhere else in the world. Because let me tell you, I saw a young Nyongo, and I'm proud of that man, being operated in a county hospital as a governor. He is trying to tell my people, look, we have built this hospital to a level that I do not need to go to Nairobi Hospital. I don't need to go to Aga Khan. And he was being given a very serious operation. It was not one of the simple bypass. It was quite a complex operation that was done in the level 5 in Kisumu Hospital. That tells you that man has put the necessary effort to ensure that that hospital meets the quality that his people needs. You know, I look at it. Governors come and they start. I have seen my governor in Kiambu has a project of updating level 3 and level 4 hospitals.
Yes.
And then I asked myself, it is a good thing you want to update, but how many level 4 hospitals do we have in Kiambu that have not been completed? That can actually do, because let me ask you, if city you come from Deya Ward, she comes from Limuru East and I come from Limuru Central. All these are wards within Limuru constituency.
Yes.
You have a level 4 hospital called Tigoni Level 4 Hospital. Why would you want to go and construct a new level 4 hospital in Deya Ward? When you have one level 4 hospital called Tigoni, you can actually upgrade and it will serve the intended purpose for that particular sub-county. And that is the problem I have said, because when Kabogo left, he left a building that was 5 stories in Lari Level 4 Hospital that needed to be completed. Another governor decided that I will not complete that one. 6 kilometers from now, Babayao started Bibilioni Level 4. It is still a shell.
So, Moshado, there is a duplication.
This is it.
There is a major duplication.
This is it.
And then now when we're having these conversations about the equitable share that should go to counties, then maybe there's a case for the reduction of these monies.
You know, I have a feeling that, I have a feeling that governors are not coming to do what they intended or the Mwananchi intended them to do, because I have a belief that Kabogo, we have a 4th governor in Kiambu, for instance, where I come from. We have 4 governors. We are unique. We are unique. Two electioneering terms has produced 4 governors. It's very interesting. It tells you governors have not served to their full term. So somebody came and started a hospital 10 years ago. But I have a 4th governor today. That particular facility has never been completed. But it is not just not being completed. He has done 2 new facilities that are yet not completed within the same vicinity. And this is the problem we have. And I think we need to have a structure where if today's city becomes the governor, he cannot come and start a new hospital before completing the other hospital, because it is. I'll give you an example. If you go to Tigoni, we spent about 400 million doing that hospital. The structures are complete, but it has not been equipped to the level it should. That is with the health services and the workers and what have you. You go to Bibilioni, that is about 7-8 kilometers. We have done a structure of 6-story structure, and we have put about 256 million. It is lying there. It is doing nothing. 7 kilometers from Bibilioni, you go to Rari Level 4. A 6-story structure that was started by Kabogo, it is there. It is standing, nothing. 17 kilometers from Rari Level 4 to Githunguri Level 4 that was initiated by the former First Lady. It is there, it is not serving people, it is not working.
And this is one county?
This is one county. You come from Githunguri 17 or another 18 kilometers, you come to Roiro Level 4. You have a structure there that is not complete, it is not helping anybody at all. Nobody. This is it. You come to Kikuyu here, we are just a few kilometers. We have a structure started by Kabogo. Nobody saw the need to go and finish that structure, because especially Kikuyu Township is very populated. They need a hospital. Nobody has done it. But now, you have a governor who has come. I don't want to do anything that was done by other governors. I want to update level 3 to level 4 hospitals. But as if you count the structures that I've told you, we have over 1 billion laying idle, not helping anybody. This is money that was allocated to county to help the people of Kiambu. It has not materialized into what they would have come. And I would tell you, and I dare tell you, this is the replica of almost every county in this republic. And this is the problem. I have seen the President Ruto come and say, we want to finish the roads that our first started.
Yes.
And they have allocated 250 billion, over 250 billion to complete roads. I have seen in Kenoe and in our press, the contractors have come back on site. This is the kind of thing we want, because that road will continue helping those people. If the former governor or the former president, Uhuru was not constructing a road in Ndeya Ward where I come from so that he can use it. It was meant to help the people of Ndeya where I come from.
Do you think, I mean, look, obvious, I mean, it is clear that these are issues. Like you said, this is a replica of what is happening across the country.
Yes.
So when you come every year at around this time in August and have a devolution conference, we're essentially just putting a coat of paint on a rotting building.
A devolution conference of nowadays, I would equate it to, you said Choma and what?
Choma na Ngoma.
Choma na Ngoma. has it yielded any fruits since we started doing? I'll give you an example, and I invite you to look at the program of the Devolution Conference that is currently being opened by the president as we speak. That program does not have a role for an MCA who is a very key person in devolution. In that program, hakuna pahari MCA anaongea. The CAF, this is the organization for MCAs, has not been allocated time in that devolution. Yet, these are the representative of the people for the implementation of devolution. They have not been allocated time in the devolution conference. 0. Number 2, have you seen common people who are supposed to be singing about devolution being allocated an opportunity to go and talk about successes in their places? You'll be surprised. It is only governors who will chest thump. It is of governors who are going to self-praise. This is what I have done. This is what I am doing. This is what
I'm going to do.
When we do a devolution conference, it is time for us to reflect. 10 years of devolution, what have we achieved?
And if we have not achieved,
and if we have not achieved, what has stopped us from doing it? A devolution conference is not just to talk about the successful stories. It is also to touch on where we have missed the mark and what has caused us to miss the mark and what is it we can do to ensure that we will get where we want. That is the true meaning of a devolution conference. But I'll tell you, and I challenge you because you are in media, let me see someone who is going to talk about the ills that has engulfed devolution conference in that devolution. Even the speakers that will be invited, I think the only person I expect to challenge them hands-on would be the president or the deputy president.
When he's supposed to speak today,
yes,
one of the issues that he wants to bring up is this health, this very thing that you've spoken about and talking about, the duplication,
yes,
the excesses, the wastage when it then comes to, like you said, it would be him to say something like this, but health is one of the major issues at the county level, which should actually be doing a lot better than it is doing. Unfortunately, like you are saying as well, governors will not be the first ones to point them out because of these things that we are seeing.
The true position, and I stand by this. One of the canon mistake we made when we were devolving, it is true, counties have worked. But it cannot be that counties that had a successful, you see, like Kiambu, we are on our health services is currently on the deathbed. But when Kabogo was there, it was doing well. It cannot be that health services will operationalize because of individuals. There has to be structures that have been to be put. And if you ask me, at the risk of being fought by every governor that is reasoning to me, I think we ought to have and form what is called, I do not want health to go back to the national government. Neither do I want it to be held by the county. I think it is time we start having a discussion of a health commission in this republic that will be in charge with health, because the moment we have allowed health to become political, it is where we are missing the mark, because governors have decided they want,
Peter, you're suggesting that just like we do not have an armed forces,
yes,
that is domiciled in counties, or a police force,
yes,
but you have a body that serves the entire country.
This is it, because I'll tell you, one of the most important, and I have seen that is causing a lot of people pain, it is not road networks. It is not even water. Water is important, but people somehow always get a clean water somewhere in Kenya. You cannot say that no single person does not have a single access to drinking water. But health has become a menace. If I show you this WhatsApp, how many groups I am in raising fund for people to go to get specialized treatment, it tells you we have to do something about our health service now, and that is a problem. Otherwise, we want, you see what I'll tell you, even the president knows that governance needs to be pressed. Like now, the president is doing what is called the county aggregation industrial parks. Know what governors have been, the county is producing 250 million. The national government is doing 200, match the same. Now, because governors are known to be cheeky, they have been asked to do special fund accounts for the project. that every time you get your exchequer and you get your own source revenue, you put your money for that project in that special account, so that we do not have a problem. Because those as I remember last year talking about industrialization, it is one of the things that is going to revolutionize the economy of the people in the village. And I hope that one way or the other we can realize this project and help our people get value for what they farm.
Somebody needs to crack the whip, that's for sure. Yes. And this is very, again, it's necessary for us to keep these conversations simmering. They have to be, and that people are aware of exactly what's going on.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.